Right. Hello. Good morning and good afternoon and probably good evening if you're watching this at night. This is a reaction video to your quizzes. No, joke lang. Kidding aside. So this is a feedback video which I thought of creating as so I haven't finished grading all your assignments, obviously. And well, not everyone has turned in their assignments yet, so that is fine. But I have observed some general mistakes or common mistakes in your assignments, and I would like to present this feedback video. So they are basically pointers in creating dichotomous keys and simple phylogenetic trees for Bio 12. And, all right, so take note, dichotomous keys are used to dichotomize or tell apart different organisms. In practice, these are mainly for more inclusive groups, such as at the family or genus level, because they are used to help in identification. But in Bio 12, we are not going to use pre-made dichotomous keys. The objective is for us to create, or for you to learn how to create dichotomous keys given this wide representative of taxa, so from different taxonomic groups. So it helps you in remembering or recalling the different taxon characteristics. Ayan. And it is also a skill in systematics. Ayan. And then for the phylogenetic trees naman, as I mentioned in my last message to the class, there is a more complex there is a more complex process in actually creating the phylogenetic trees. But remember that in the lectures that I've given you, I am giving you the general relationships or the well-established evolutionary relationships between these or among these larger taxonomic groups. And so that is what I am aiming to inculcate in you. And so anyway, so let's start with the dichotomous keys. So these are the common mistakes that I've seen in the dichotomous keys that you have turned in so far. Yeah, so there are 6. And iisa-isahin ko yung mga yan, and I will be providing some solutions. All right, so let's get into that. So first mistake is that it is really quite obvious when you see a dichotomous key and some genus names are given to you, but you do not write them properly. So remember, if they are typewritten, then they must be italicized. Example here, Pithecofaga italicized. And then when they are handwritten, if you are going to handwrite them, underline the genus names, okay? Never forget this, because this is a standard in scientific writing. Ayan. All right, next is the second mistake that I noticed is that some use group names to dichotomize different groups or different taxa, and that is not correct, because, well, the idea nga, when dichotomous keys are used is that you will look at characters that can be observed or that can be seen, or these are characters, taxonomic characters. So solution is to use taxonomic characters. So what is an example? This is an example of an incorrect dichotomous key where the group names are used. So this is just a random example that I made up. I did not take it from somebody's particular work, okay? Ayan, so this is incorrect. So for example here, so level 2 belongs to Archaeplastida, does not belong to Archaeplastida. what should be the best thing to do? It's to use the taxon character. What is the character and character states that are opposing? So what makes an organism belong to Archaeplastida? Yun, so here belongs to Archaeplastida, you have cycas, and then does not belong to Archaeplastida, go to 3, belongs to Animalia, belongs to fungi. Ayun. So again, these are just group names, but what exactly is the character and what are the character states? So one example of a correct way of writing it or creating it is, or dichotomizing them, is that for here, plastids present, so that is your cycas, ayan, yung plants, Archaeplastida have plastids, and then plastids absent. Now you go to number 3. And for this one, there are so many characteristics that you can use to dichotomize Drosophila, which is the fruit fly, from Aspergillus, which is a fungus. Yon, pwedeng cell wall present, cell wall absent. So cell wall is absent in your Drosophila, cell wall is present in your Aspergillus, pwedeng jointed appendages present in Drosophila, jointed appendages absent in Aspergillus. Yan. How about, what if ginamit yung plastids derived from, so there, in level 2, plastids derived from primary endosymbiosis of cyanobacteria. Tapos sa letter B is plastids not derived from primary endosymbiosis of cyanobacteria. So for the first character, that would be correct because it applies to cycas. However, for the second, hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin yung plastids not derived from cyanobacteria, because in the first place, if you go to number 3, neither of these taxa possess any plastids. So yun. So kaya dito at the second level, it's just simpler to use plastids present, plastids absent. Ayan. So I hope I was not too fast in that, but ayan, you can pause and look at the difference between the two. So basically, the solution is to use taxon characters. What are the characters and character states that you see that are different between the groups you are dichotomizing, or the taxa you are dichotomizing? Yeah, next is some characters that are chosen are relative to human perception. Ayan, for example, ayan, so of course the solution again is use taxon characters, or those characters that are taxonomic in nature, meaning these are characters that distinguish an organism from another organism. Ayan, so that can be yun, yung morphology niya. Yun, I have presented a lot of morphological characters that you can use. And yun din naman yung common thing na ginagamit sa dichotomous keys. Ayan, and then this is an example of an incorrect dichotomous key where, yan, for example here, number 2, organism is edible, organism is not edible. So you have Tridacna. In this section, ayun, Tridacna itself is, ayun, some groups eat Tridacna, but it is also protected by law. So bawal kainin, but it can actually, it's also edible. So yun, there's that gray line. Plus, being edible is relative. Ayan. Tapos we go to number 3. In this section naman, it's not about whether the plant is edible or not. It is which part of the plant is edible. But again, that is also relative. So here we have Musa, which is banana, and then Solanum tuberosum, which is the potato. And you'll notice that the examples I give here are not all species or genera that have been mentioned in the lecture. That is because I don't want you to be fixated on the specific genus, or yeah, because yun, the important thing is for you to know which groups they belong to and how related they are and what are their corresponding taxonomic characters. So anyway, going back here, so we have banana and potato. So your banana, the fruit is edible, and then whereas yung sa potato, the modified stem is edible. So yeah, again, being edible is relative. So this is incorrect. So what would be the correct way of showing or of writing it? Again, the presence of plastids would easily group your plants from this animal. So yun, plastids present, go to 3, plastids absent, tridacna. What else? Pwedeng mantle present, that's in tridacna, mantle absent, go to number 3. Ano pa? Cell wall present, yun, you have your plants, go to 3, cell wall absent, that's tridacna. Ayan. So there are so many characters that you can use. And then now go to 3, you have musa or the banana, which is a monocot. Solanum tuberosum, which is a dicot. Ayun, pwedeng cotyledon 1, cotyledon 2. Leaf venation parallel, leaf venation netted. Ayan, so there are other characteristics. Ayan. So notice yung format din ng pagkakasulat ko is the character and the character state. Ayan, so in here, cotyledon is the character. There are different states. There's pwedeng 1 cotyledon or 2 cotyledon. Ayan. Tapos character states in terms of plastid present, so present, absent. Ayan. Okay. Next is number 4. Couplets do not show alternative character states. There are some who have created dichotomous keys, whereas they listed all characters for the different taxa, but then if you look at them, hindi siya cohesive kasi the idea of having a dichotomous key is that you have a single character and you look at the 2 different character states. For example, using the previous set of taxa from number 3, yan dito sa incorrect, number 2 has the ability to photosynthesize, go to 3. And then letter C has the ability to form calcareous shell, tridacna. So if you look at them individually, these characters do apply to the taxon. However, these couplets are always in pairs. So gamitin nyo, just choose one specific character and indicate the different character states. So pwedeng dito has the ability to photosynthesize, and then so that is on the nutrition, and then so letter B does not have the ability to photosynthesize, or pwedeng photosynthetic nutrition and then heterotrophic nutrition. Ayun. And then go to 3. Dito naman, fruit type is berry, so that is for the banana. Stems modified as tubers, that is for the potato. And again, those characters indeed apply to the species, but as seen together, they are not contrasting characters. Ayan. So this here on the right side is the correct an example of a correct way of dichotomizing them. So pwedeng, ayan, mantle present, mantle absent. So mantle absent, you go to 3. Ayan, leaf venation parallel, leaf venation netted. Ayan. So there. So I hope you do not create this mistake in the exam and in the future assignments. Right, and then number 5, some levels are disjoint. What do I mean by disjoint? Minsan tapos ka na sa in dichotomizing a set of taxa, but then you have the next taxa, but there is no connection from the first set. So the solution there is always to review your dichotomous key. And remember the formula. Paano mo malalaman kung tama yung number of items mo or number of levels mo? That is always the total number of organisms given minus 1. Ayan. So here in this incorrect na example ng incorrect dichotomous key with disjoint levels. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 taxa, but notice that you only have 3 levels. Ayan. So for here, number 1, nuclear membrane present, foraminiferan, nuclear membrane absent, so go to 2. Ayan, so ito yung eukaryote. And then tolerates hypersaline environment or an archaean, so that's halobacterium. And then cannot tolerate hypersaline environment, so that's lactobacillus, which belongs to bacteria. Ayan, so again, when you differentiate archaea and bacteria, hindi pwedeng gamitin yung belongs to archaea, belongs to bacteria, ha? What is the character and character state? Remember that. Ayan. So tapos ka na, and then you have this new level, number 3, but it did not come from any of the previous levels. So that is already an indication that your dichotomous key is incorrect. And ayun, during regular semesters nga, pag ganito, ayun, since this is not coming, this level does not come from any previous level, then ayun, hindi na yan i-grade or consider. So please be careful, kahit na tama yung dichotomize nyo. So what would be a more correct way of dichotomizing them? Ganito. Ayan, so you can first separate the eukaryotes from the prokaryotes. Ayan, so nuclear membrane present, nuclear membrane absent, ganun pa rin. But instead of just putting foraminiferan, ayan, so you go to 3. Ayan, you go to 3 here. Pero balikan natin yan. Let's go back here, nuclear membrane absent. So that's looking at the prokaryotes. And then again, you have the same characters and character states in terms of their tolerance to hypersaline environments. So halobacterium is tolerant, whereas lactobacillus is not. Ayan. So balik na tayo dito. Number 3, where did that come from? From here, sa number 1A. Ayan, so go to 3. These are now all eukaryotic organisms. Then you have unicellular, multicellular. Actually, dati hindi ko kino-consider ito, but then yun. So cellular, that is already the character states whether one a single-celled organism or multicellular organism. And so Morchella, which is a mushroom or a cup mushroom under Ascomycota. Ayan. Then unicellular, go to 4. Number 4, pseudopodia is tubular for your amoeba. Pseudopodia is reticulate for your foraminiferan. And notice that in here, it doesn't necessarily have to follow the phylogenetic or evolutionary relationships because you are looking at this simple taxonomic characters. Ayan, kasi like your archaebacteria, they're actually more closely related to your eukaryotic organisms. So it's not necessary na i-separate nyo muna yung bacteria from the rest. Okay? Ayan. So there, it's cleaner. Yeah, now, and then the last is, although it's not technically, like, it's not entirely wrong, but it is just off, and it is not the standard way of writing it. Sometimes the format is off. So paano yung format na off? It is when you just have a character and a character state. Wait a minute, let me pause that. All right, hello, I am back. So Yan, the format is off. So here in this example, ayun, tama. Technically, tama naman yung pagkaka-dichotomize, but it's basically yun, it's just a yes no, and just looking at one character and character state, or yun, hindi explicit na if it's present then yes no, yun, just use present or absent, and yun, yun, you have to be specific about the character states. Yun, so anyway, this is the correct way of writing it. Yun. So remember, the solution is make sure that each couplet, yun, they are in pairs. Per level, you have a pair, and for each couplet, you have a character and the character states. Ayan. So those are the 6 common mistakes that I've seen in your assignments for the dichotomous keys, and I've presented the solutions and some examples. So I hope you will take note of these, and ayun. So practice, practice, practice. So now we go to phylogenetic trees. So again, the phylogenetic trees are graphical representations of evolutionary relationships among organisms. So the actual process of creating phylogenetic trees, starting from the raw data to the final tree, will be covered in Bio 191. What I have presented in the lectures are the already accepted relationships among the larger groupings. Ayun, and so yun yung gusto kong maalala nyo. And then for Bio 12, the goal is simply to illustrate these relationships. So simple, yun, kaya natawag ko na simple phylogenetic trees. And also, so you would remember you should start thinking in the paradigm ng tree thinking. That is, all the extant taxa or all the organisms given to you are on the same level. Nagkakaiba lang sila ng ages in terms of yan, yung age ng isang lineage, but we are not even calibrating the phylogenetic trees that we are that I am asking you to draw. Yeah, so it's just that you would think of them as not in a ladder, but yun, again, hindi from unicellular to multicellular na simple to complex. It's not like that. They are all leaves or at the terminus of the phylogenetic tree or the tree of life. And ayun, because the tree of life is also very robust, very diverse, we are simply looking at some representatives. And if you are given just a handful of representatives, you should be able to illustrate how related they are to one another. Ayan, so daming sinabi. So yan, for example, let's look at this example. You'll notice that I am giving here examples of species that are not really mentioned in the lecture. That is because, again, I do not want you to be fixated on the species themselves, but for this example, it is about the process of creating it and not yung pattern na dapat ma-memorize nyo. Kasi yun nga, hindi, it's the process that you should know how to do and not the pattern, because patterns change. Ayan, so here we have this set of organisms. Ayan, we have Physarum pusillum, which is a cellular slime mold. Ayan, if you remember in the lecture, yung example ko ay dictyostelium. Yan, but here we have the stalks and the spore-forming cells. Anyway, this is Physarum pusillum, a cellular slime mold. And then this is Undaria pinnatifida, which is a brown algae. It looks like laminaria. And then this is Thermus aquaticus, which is a bacteria. Yan, ito yung ginagamit na source ng Taq polymerase na ginagamit sa PCR. But you learn more about this in biochemistry and perhaps cell biology and genetics. Yan. Then we have Panthera leo, a lion. And this is Nitrososphaera vienensis, which is a ammonia feeding or ammonia metabolizing bacteria. So it is an archaebacteria. Ayan. And then this is Felis catus, a cat. Yeah, so what is the best way to go about if I give you this set of organisms? So create a phylogenetic tree for these organisms. Best is to first start by classifying them. So for each taxon, ilagay niyo na yung mga classification groups that you know about them. Yeah, for example, here, cellular slime mold, amoebozoa. By the way, in the exam, I will be giving taxa that have been covered in the course. So you don't need to Google the taxonomic classifications of the taxa that I will be giving. Yeah, so it's under Opisthoconnta, and within Opisthoconnta, and above that it is in the Uniconta clade. Yung Undaria pinnatifida, it is a brown algae, so Ochrophyta, and it is under Strandmenophiles or Heteroconta. And then yun nga, it's under the SAR clade. Tapos Thermus aquaticus, I said earlier, it's a bacteria. Ayan, Panthera leo, it's a vertebrate under Chordata, and under Animalia, Opisthoconnta, Uniconta. Yan. And then Nitrososphaera vienensis, it is an archaebacteria. We didn't go further in within these domains, no? So okay lang yan. And then Felis catus, just like the lion, it is in the same large categories, or yeah. Okay, so now we look at those that are most closely related or that belong to the same classification groups. So among these ones, obviously your lion and cat are most closely related. Although they are both within vertebrata and also within carnivora and also within the same family, that doesn't mean that you put them in a single line. Why is that? Because they are from different genera, they are different species, so they form their own lineage. So how do you write it? Ayan, ganyan. So ito yung first na grouping nyo. They are sister based among these organisms that were given. Now, ano yung next na related or sister to this clade? So if these are the animals, and they are also Uniconta, ayan. So the next that is sister to them would be Physarum pusillum, or the slime mold. Ayan. So now we have that. So slime mold, because this whole clade forms the Uniconta. And next, na sister to that would be, or most closely related to the Uniconta among these would be your brown algae, which is Undaria, which belongs to the SAR clade. Ayan. So now you have that. So at this level here, these are all eukaryotic organisms. You have both prokaryotes. Now, among these, sino yung sister to the eukaryotes? It is the archaea. So ayan, eukarya, this is archaea. So now you add it here. Ayan. All right, so there. And then obviously, bacteria is sister to all of them. And you would find that there. So siya na dito. So the bacteria is most distantly related from the rest. And so in this phylogenetic tree, it is sister to the rest of the organism shown. Ayan, and then followed by the Archaebacteria, which is, yan, so archaea dito, and then dito ay eukarya. Within eukarya, we have the representative from the star clade, and these are, this is the clade representing your uniconta. And then within the uniconta, we have the amoebozoa and the animalia. Within the animalia, we have the genus Panthera and the genus Felis. Ayan, so ganun. So just try to do it one at a time. So look at yung similarities or relationships from the most inclusive groups to the most, from the most exclusive groups to the most inclusive groupings. Again, right, and also remember that these branches can be rotated. Yeah, so this is the phylogenetic tree that we created step by step. Now, look at this phylogenetic tree. You have the bacteria there, and then the archaea there. I also replaced them with their taxonomic bins. Ayan, para hindi kayo malito. Ayun, are these two the same? Can you write this phylogenetic tree as something like this? Yan. So, sige, tignan niyo muna. I'll give you some time, some seconds to look at these two, compare them. Notice that the topologies appear different. Yeah. I mean, the order at which you see the organisms is different from what we originally created. So are they the same or are they not the same? And so I hope you have an answer. Yes. Yes, they are the same. Why is that? Kasi if you look at, ayan, so go from node to node, from the ancestor, this is the common ancestor or the ancestral lineage. Also, remember when you are creating your phylogenetic trees or drawing your phylogenetic trees, laging merong ancestral lineage ha. Kasi without that, without this extra branch, that would not show any polarity. So any of these could be considered an ancestor. Yan. Kasi without this extra line here. So so from this line, you have the separation of your bacteria from this group, which is also reflected here. And to the next level, to this node, you have the separation of eukarya from archaea. So kapareho pa rin dito. And then here, you have, na-rotate lang yung branch, or the branch was rotated on this node. So it's just showing the stramenopiles, tapos ito yung uniconta. So same then, and then here, ganun pa rin, sister ang animalia, and they are both sister to amoebozoa, as also shown here. So this is also another way of correctly showing it, because tree thinking. These are trees, not ladders from ladders in terms of complexity or cellular complexity. Ayan, so these are all extant taxa. They have they have their own evolutionary tendencies and their evolutionary histories. So this shows the same relationships as this tree. Ayan, so that is it. That is my lecture, short lecture on tips or feedback on your dichotomous keys and phylogenetic trees. So you can practice creating more of them. And ayan, I hope you remember these when during the exam. Yeah. All right. Thank you.